How did one old school PC game foretell the end of humanity? Ever played a real-time strategy game? Mine your resources, muster your troops, and destroy your opponent.
AK-47s for everyone!
Whether you like to build a mighty castle, rally an army of thousands, roll tanks off the assembly line, or end all life as we know it. The real-time strategy genre has some of the most rewarding games you can play, unforgiving at first as you painstakingly progress from rookie, being crushed even by the most basic AI, to tactical master, outwitting other generals head-to-head online. Usually the only thing you get out of your RTS experience is learning how to optimize a build order, probably RSI from spamming units, and a net loss of 100 hours wasted rotting in your mum's basement.
Oh, that's a big boy, isn't he?
But did you know there was one real-time strategy game from the 90s that on the surface appeared to be just like every other, however, upon closer inspection reveals a hidden prophecy foretelling the tragic demise of the human race.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Total Annihilation was released in 1997, a grim dark era for PC gaming dominated by boxy beige CRT monitors and glacier slow dial-up internet. At this moment in history, gaming was almost exclusively a nerd's domain. Although seemingly primitive by today's standards, TA was a revolutionary real-time strategy game for the era, known for pioneering 3D units and adding numerous user interface advancements such as build queuing, guard, and patrolling. Sure, the AI was a bit stupid. The pathfinding was lousy.
Move! Move, you fucker!
And often the game ran like crap on PCs circa 97. But it was all worth it to witness the wanton destruction. The game was an instant classic due to the fact you could get together with friends, build hundreds of units and have them blown to bits by thunderous pounding artillery. This is where the experience of TA ended for most players, as a highlight game of the year. However, the logical ramifications of TA's story are truly unsettling and a poignant warning for mankind. Two factions exist, the Core and the Arm, who have battled ceaselessly for millennia.
Their hatred fueled by over 4,000 years of total war.
The Core and the Arm have all but exhausted the resources of an entire galaxy in their struggle for domination. In this universe, there is no art, no culture, and no science. Every facet of existence is total war. Total Annihilation takes place in the far future of our own Milky Way galaxy. It is a conflict so immense that it is almost inconceivable to our quaint single-planet culture. For starters, their civilizations span the entire breadth of our galaxy. Just think about what this means for a second. The entire Milky Way galaxy contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars over a vast spiral-armed disk 100,000 light-years across. As the factions move their war machine forward, system by system, they completely exhaust all resources and decimate any habitable worlds. That's almost all of this destroyed in a war lasting only 4,000 years. NASA's 2013 Kepler mission has estimated that there may be up to 40 billion habitable worlds Earth-sized in our galaxy. Using this estimate, that would imply the total destruction of 27,000 habitable worlds per day, every day, for 4,000 years. That is some serious destruction. Truly a war of unimaginable proportions. But here's where it gets more insane. This vast conflict destroys planets and materials so quickly that a doomsday countdown timer is inevitable. There is an end point marking the total depletion of the galaxy's resources. At this point, both civilizations will cease to exist. The core and the arm are certainly capable of realizing this, yet their hatred for one another is so intense that they gladly continue to fight, even if it means their mutual destruction. So why don't the factions simply move on to the next galaxy to continue their war? The short answer is, it's impossible. We know from the story, TA's technology of galactic gates allow instantaneous travel for a commander. However, there is a major caveat to this technology. A gate must still be constructed at both ends of the journey. Even travelling at 100% light speed, it would take 2.5 million years for a construction K-bot to reach our nearest galactic neighbour Andromeda, providing he doesn't get stuck. By which time, both the arm and the core would be long extinct. Therefore, the Total Annihilation Galaxy is doomed. It is essentially a closed ecosystem being rapidly depleted of resources as its inhabitants fight over them. Does this scenario sound familiar at all? Oh wait, it's us. The main philosophical concept TA explores is the idea of total war, something you may have heard before. Total war is a state of affairs where a faction in war commits every facet of a society's resources to the maintenance of its war effort. In the time of war, what this means is that Führer Hitler will mobilise both his soldiers, but also instruct factories to stop making luxury goods and make bullets instead. However, the concept goes much, much further. In his book, A World at Total War, Roger Chickering suggests that as a nation's manpower is completely mobilised for both combat and economic backing, the line between civilian and soldier begins to fade. The inevitable conflict then boils down to an attack on any aspect of a society that will garner the most devastating results, creating a complete breakdown in the rules of war. Will bombing a factory full of women and children making bullets help you win the war? Poison a strategically important town's water supply? Drop a bomb that kills 100,000 civilians and horribly maims the people for decades to come as to save a few of your troops? Evidence of total war can be found in TA's urban maps, which illustrate devastated cities. Critically, these are evidently large civilian populations destroyed without warning. As you can see, civilian cars, housing, factories, and even public art on display. All that these ghostly relics provide our commanders now is simply raw materials to reclaim in order to build yet more war machines. This, Chickering argues, is the inevitable evolution of warfare. Even if both sides of a conflict begin with honourable intentions, if such a thing is even possible, those conditions are going to deteriorate. The choice is simple. You can uphold your honour and chivalry of battle, or die. The downward spiral effect was seen in the final days of World War II. As Germany began to be overwhelmed, children were handed rifles and told to defend the fatherland. This is represented in TA's gameplay. You begin with level 1 K-bots and light attack vehicles. It is possible to fight an entire match with simply these units. However, it is in your best interest to quickly tech up to level 2 K-bots, as these are much more destructive. When you begin fielding these units, your opponent has no choice but to tech up as well, or die. By the end of the game, you and your opponent will no doubt be trading Gatling artillery shells, carpet bombing each other's base, and sending units in by the score as suicide cannon fodder, simply to exhaust the enemy's resolve. Hence the inevitable spiral of more destructive machines and more resource depletion. Which brings us to the final conclusion. In the opening cinematic, chaotic fighting is accompanied by a dramatic orchestrated military score. Units struggle in combat and losses are heavy on both sides, but as we approach the end of TA's cinematic, the orchestra reaches its dramatic crescendo. The camera pulls back to reveal the ultimate weapon of mass destruction, the atomic missile launcher. The sudden change in musical style subtly informs us that all this fighting has been for naught, as the nuclear warhead is about to erase the enemy from existence. If two belligerents are armed with such weapons, it has long been concluded that both sides will be annihilated, as there are no winners and no losers in a multiple nuclear exchange, just death and an inhospitable wasteland in the place of where civilization once resided. TA uses the drama of its cinematic to symbolize the nuclear bomb as the ultimate ironic weapon, a technology in which we finally have the means to utterly destroy our enemies, but in doing so, we destroy ourselves, and in fact, most of life on Earth in the process. Hence, the symbol of the nuke is immediately followed by the game's title screen: total annihilation of everyone. TA is a game utterly devoid of character and humanity. Bots blowing up other bots, so what? But it is also, counterintuitively, the most human of games, in that it indulges our most base human instincts to destroy and conquer our enemies. The human being is a social animal. We thrive in communities and it's natural to band together to defeat hostile tribes, right? Total Annihilation warns us that if we cannot peacefully resolve our disputes, escalation and total war await us. The core, arm, and humanity all share an uncertain future in which tensions are escalating and resources are becoming increasingly scarce. The core and the arm will fight to the death for them. So will humanity come together and issue forth a future of peace? Or will we succumb to our more primitive destructive tendencies and suffer the horror of total annihilation?